Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Honcast here on what is a special day here. Of course, being a Friday, not normally a Honcast on Fridays like this, but again, a special day because today we are going to be announcing the award results of the 2015 year that was here on Honcast. So definitely looking forward to today. Obviously, we've done this now for, I want to say this is the third, maybe even fourth official year that we have put this together. So essentially, it's like any other awards show slash votes, whatever you want to call it. It's an awards thing, though. It's a way to really show, what players definitely made some big plays and definitely were awesome in this last year and, make a point of, well, maybe who was the best. So that's what we're going to do here today. Anyways, looking forward to being here. With that said, I do have a couple of co-casters that are going to be joining me today to kind of talk about from the candidates to then the eventual winners of said categories. I'm joined by a couple. I'm joined by Rick Roste. How's it going, man?
Good. About you, Breaky?
I'm doing good. Today it should be a fun podcast here.
Definitely.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing how many complexity players win things.
Yeah, and how many times they yell at me for not saying their names.
You better vote for them.
Exactly.
Make a point that they deserve every single award. They are watching closely. They're probably not even awake yet, let's be honest.
Well, what you got is I see him in chat.
Is he? Oh, my God. He
yeah.
Is. Okay. All right.
Oh, boy.
All right. If he wins something, we might have to bring him on, but that's a big if. That's
big
if. All right.
Ouch.
All right.
Ouch.
Only one person can win, to be fair. It's tough. Snooey also joining us. It's been a while, Snooey. How's it going, man?
Going really good, honestly. Feel like I got a very good, solid ground to stand on here for 2016. Busy times, but that's the way I like it. So,
nice.
With that said, looking forward to joining you guys here for this podcast award thingy. Always been looking forward to them in the past, and I've got some good memories from last year, especially. So, yeah, should be fun.
Yeah, no, it's again these awards. So essentially, how this works, guys. I think might have been don't even remember how many. I want to say it's like 13 categories or something like that. There's a lot of the typical ones, like of course, eventually even the team of the year, the most valuable player, of course. But other categories for every single role, and then things like entertaining player, entertaining team, and whatnot. Now this time around, it's kind of been different every single time we've done these awards. I'm going to be frank with everyone. This time around, it was kind of things were busy around these holidays. So to say the least, this was kind of left off for a bit. But I really wanted to make a point that to get these done. And I know it is almost January of 2016 is over, but it's better late than never, right? So we figured still wanted to do it, get that recognition out there. How we did it this year, especially with it being a little bit later, we did not involve the community this time around. Again, in the past, we've tended to have a community vote at least somewhat of an influence. But to be honest, we really weren't getting a whole lot of votes from that. So in the end, though, what we decided to do was actually get people from behind the scenes as well as a mix of players that are currently active in the scene. And I think we ended up coming up, reached out to about 15 or 16 even, but we got 13 votes in total for each of the categories, 13 voters here from behind the scenes. So including us three here amongst 10 others. So that's how we ultimately came to these results here, as you'll kind of see in breakdowns that I even have for you guys to see, who finished where. So it's pretty straightforward. You just voted for who you think deserved each category, and that's how the winners were decided. So it's pretty, you had to make quite the impact, it's safe to say, in each of these. So, all right. I mean, what about like an overall? We'll start with you, Rick. Like, was this? Did you find this difficult to vote for, or were you pretty set on pretty much all these categories?
There were a couple I had to look at a couple times and go, this could go either way. This could go between three people. So there were a couple that were pretty straightforward in my eyes, but then there was a few that were pretty close in my opinion.
Yeah. What about you, Snooey?
Yeah, I had an insanely difficult time on actually deciding. I think I sat for a half an hour at least, just thinking about the options. And there's a lot to take into consideration, seeing as we are indeed looking over the entire year. So, I mean, it was season 3 finals even in Thailand. You had to take that into consideration, the DreamHack event, now the Hunter cycles for season 4 as well. So not an easy task, but as you said, I'm confident that we actually got some good results here.
Yeah, definitely. So on that note, too, I'm the only one that actually knows the results. You guys don't even know the results. I made a point to actually not even let you guys know the results, because I wanted you guys to also be able to react, like everyone else. So I think that's going to be the best way to go about it right here as far as announcing said winners. So, that's a great point, though, Snooey. I mean, really what is tough about these, you really have to remember the earlier part of the year especially. Obviously, there's a lot of these things that happened recently, and that's kind of fresh in your mind, especially now that we're in 2016 even. Like I said, at the end of January here, but definitely got to take into consideration. Bad Monkey Gaming won Cycle 3 of Haunter Season 3.
Yep.
Or Season 3, excuse me, not Cycle 3. Of Haunter Season 3, that is. So I have to remind myself that every now and then. So, but deservedly
Still
so.
can't believe it.
I know, it's still trying to hit me here. No, but deservedly so there, and so we got that to think about too. Anyways, all right. So without further ado, I think it's time to jump into this here. So again, how essentially we're going to do this. We're going to start with the nominees. We'll go by category by category. We're going to start with the nominee, and then we'll announce the winner, and then move on to the next category here. So our first category happens to be, kind of a fun one here, considering especially. Almost awkward for me, you could say, but no. It's again, this wasn't my vote. This was as a whole, who voted for the first category actually. And we haven't done this in the past, but because I've had such a plethora of co-casters on Honcast this year, I really thought it just made sense. We've kind of been having a plethora of co-casters, all great in my mind, of course. But here we go with the nominees for the best co-caster of the year. It was for Groste, Nier, Shorkan, Znui, and Saint Rock. So those are the 5 nominees that people were able to choose from. So this is a little interesting one here. So who do you think deserved this or gross? No, besides yourself, I mean, who would you say?
I gotta go with Nier. I mean, love the guy. I think he's a great caster. Knows so much about the game. It's just, for me, it's Nier in my eyes.
All right. So you think Nier? Znui, what about you?
Tough one indeed. When I was doing the main casting, actually, a few times when you were missing last year, I had both Nier and Shorkan on as co-casters at different occasions, and Saint Rux I haven't had too much casting experience together with, but I know him, of course. But my vote would probably go to Shorkan if we're to look over the entire year, seeing as he has just been with us for such a long time, and he's always been involved in the competitive scene as well. And I think that his performance on DreamHack, or his casting at DreamHack, was pretty damn good, to say the least. So my vote would land for him, even though I do, of course, as Ragrost said, admire Nier's competitive experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as far as that goes, he definitely has the edge as far as, the competitive experience and, being that on a top team player for sure. But as I said, I love you guys all. So that's going to be my my comment on this category here, all right? I just kind of thought about this on the spot as well. So I mentioned how we didn't have any community influence. Well, I think it might be fun. What I'll do, I'll just create a straw poll real quickly and have you guys vote in chat. So I'm going to post a straw poll for each of these categories here, and you guys can vote in chat to see what you think, and then we'll announce who the actual winner was as well. So from this vote here, it looks like I'm going to give it maybe 5 more seconds, but I think it's pretty obvious who.
Yeah.
Nier it looks like he's gonna take the victory here. Actually, let me pull it up even. Nope, not that. There we go. Yeah, so it looks like Nier had taken it according to the community. Again, this is just the community here, not the actual winner. And now the actual winner here, even getting a couple more votes there. The actual winner, officially, it was Nier. It was Nier.
Yep.
He did take the cake here, ultimately taking home 6 of the 13 votes. But as you can see, it's a decent spread where Groste and Shorkan getting some love, and then Znui, you also got some love there. So St. Rox was left off, unfortunately. But it's tough. It's tough. All right, so there we go. I think we pretty much settled that, though. Any reactions to Nier being the victor?
Nope.
Not really.
Too
Well deserved.
Yeah, 100%.
So humble, you two. So humble.
Well,
Okay.
can't really show too much emotions here on the stream, can we?
We'll go
Later
cry
on,
later.
when we turn off the webcams, that's when
When things get
banging
crazy.
begins.
Yeah, people are messing out, let me tell you. I got this green screen behind me. Crazy things happen. All right. That's getting weird. Okay, so let's move on to the next category here. We got now we're gonna get into some good categories here. Newcomer players. So, okay, so the best newcomer. So now this is an interesting category because, well, I mean, it's essentially like for some of these players, you almost have to remind yourself, like, oh, that's right. You know, we just started knowing about them here pretty recently, within this last year, even. Now, this doesn't mean that they are 100% new to the competitive Han scene just this last year. It's more of we really started to recognize them as a player in the competitive scene as of this last year. So these were the categories that we had right here. As far as we came down to 4 players that were decided on. Sasuke, that's totally spelled wrong. I just realized now. Anyway, Sasuke, you get the point. Different guy, Oscar, or Peksu. So those are the 4 that we had here. So, girl, still start with you. I mean, who do you think deserves here?
Well, I mean, it's, Oscar's been around for a while and done very well. He's improved a lot. I've seen a lot of improvement from him. But then you look at a guy like Different Guy, who I think has also done really well. So, in my eyes, I think it is Oscar, but Different Guy is right behind him, in my opinion.
Yeah. Snewy?
I would personally go with Slaskidirt on this one. I just think that, when was Season 3 again? That's when we played in Prime Icarus, actually. I played with him for a time. He played for Donkey Kong before that. But ever since Season 3 started and 2015, I think that Slaskidirt went from just being a no-namer to one of the absolute best mid players in the game. I mean, he was even trying out for Sync Esports back in the days when they were looking for a replacement for Mika in before DreamHack, I think it was. So I think that guy is the one that's going to get my nominee at least. Obviously, all of them have made a great impact on the scene and are all worthy of the award, but I think still Slaske is the one that's been out there throughout the entire year and really shown that he is one of the absolute best on the scene.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you there. And actually, Ghost and I were talking about this just before we came on. It's interesting with Slaske specifically because he's one of these players that has somewhat transitioned his role, but what we really know him as really coming out of the scene and being strong with was he was playing a lot of that middle, as you mentioned, Snewy, but lately he has been playing a little more Suicide even now for Mint here. But so showing his versatility as well, when it comes to that on top of it. But Different Guy for me, I mean, he was definitely a great player this year, and I think very recognizable because of the ladder scene as well. Not that a lot of people follow that, but of course, happened to be number 1 on ladder, at least for bits and pieces there, and not that really should be taken into consideration in the competitive scene, but it's interesting, when you always see those top players, because a lot of people that were on the top of the ladder, especially earlier in the Han days, not necessarily were in the competitive scene, so. But Different Guy, one of those players here. But I believe my vote did actually go for Oscar in the end. I mean, it was too hard to pass it up. Oscar, He's just such a sound player. We always talk about 15 minutes into the game, oh, he has a portal key. It was 1 versus 3. Doesn't matter. He just finds it somehow with his farm. So, yeah, Oscar for me definitely had to be was my vote here at least. So, but yeah, a lot of people getting it. And then Peksu, I think the only one we really didn't touch on. But I mean, Peksu, it's understandable why maybe you wouldn't vote for him over these others. But I mean, he really, especially in the later part of the year, was a player that was not only obviously pretty good, but just honestly fun to watch. With things like the Jungle Gladiator, definitely coming to mind. So.
Mm-hmm. And he's been the one that's been in the captain's position as well for Team Revolution or whatever the team name is currently called.
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of them. But yeah, he's been stepping up as a drafter as well, so I guess you could take that into consideration.
Yeah, definitely something there too. Is he? But see, I don't even know if he's really playing. Yeah, because he's not even playing anymore on the Diamond team, so it's kind of awkward too. But anyways, all right. So here's what you guys voted in chat right here. This is it was close actually, but Oscar barely taking it over Different Guy, 23 votes to 19, and then Sasuke and Peksu, a little bit of love there. Now, as far as the actual victor goes, we had Different Guy. Different Guy did take it, getting 5 votes in the end, which happened to be the majority right there. So, Sasuke actually in second with, they were tied with 3 each. Sasuke and Oscar, and then Peksu wrapping it up in that final spot there. Also getting a couple of votes. So, really kind of a nice spread right here, but Different Guy ultimately taking it as far as the overall goes. So, a little bit different than what the community voted for right there, although it was close to. So, yeah, reactions?
Yeah, I'm a bit
Um,
surprised, to be honest. I didn't expect different guy to take it. I would have expected Oscar to be the winner, seeing as he is on one of the top teams, Complexity Gaming currently, and has been, having a strong impact throughout the entire game or throughout the entire year. But a different guy, yeah, a strong finish, and of course being in Fresh now. I'm not sure entirely why. I mean, he's a great guy, uh, excellent player, but still, Slaskider and Oscar. I think it's hard to pass on those two.
Yeah, no, this was a tough category clearly in the end. So yeah, Regrost, anything else?
no, I mean, I said it could be close between Oscar and Different Guy. I did expect Oscar to take it, but it's good to see Different Guy win it. In all honesty.
Why don't you like Slaskder it? In my opinion,
No, I
he's like
love.
one of the
No, no, no,
absolute freaking best players
no. I
out
love
there.
Sasuke. I play with him all. Literally, I play with him every day. It's just a matter of It's harder for me because I've watched so much of this cycle compared to last cycle in terms of like actually casting.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at it that way, I've seen what Sasuke's done this cycle more than, or this season more than last season. So I do love Sasuke though. He, in all honesty, is one of the best players, but very consistent. But love him, but I gotta give it to different guy or Oscar.
Yeah. You have to vote for one person in the end. Again, that's
It's
what
true.
made it tough. Like I was talking about, there another cool format might have been where we vote for top 3 and then kind of just added points for after that. But look at the hindsight there. But yeah, no, you had to vote for one person. So there you go. Different guy again, taking it home as far as the best newcomer player. So congratulations to Different Guy. All right, moving things on. Our next category is content creator. This is another fun one here. So we got content creator, and we got a list of 5 nominees right here. Starting with Tobakas. We got... God, I failed. I had to do so many of these graphics. Apparently, I did not double-check the spelling. That's supposed to be Noob McNoob, not Knob McNoob. I'm sorry. All right, Scumbag Network, Hardcore Gaming, or Zlapped. So those are the 5 categories right there. So what about you guys? I mean, you guys follow really many of these content creators and watch yourself for Ghosta?
For this one, I think I think they all do their own work, and I think they all do like their own part. But I think Tabaka is in terms of kind of everything. He kind of just does it all. He does such good videos, such good quality. So I'm gonna give it to Tabaka's on this one. But I think they're all should be mentioned, and they all are important. But in my opinion, Tabaka's.
Zlapped? Or is Nui?
I was a bit confused there for just a second. But,
Who did you vote for?
I did not vote for Zlapped, actually.
damn.
No, what about you, Nui?
I think I got a follow on each and every one of them actually, so they pop up on my social media every now and then. But the one that's made the strongest impact on me would have to be Scumbag Network. I think I don't know. They've been with us for so long now, and I just feel like they always deliver quality works. And so just heads up to them. Yeah, great quality content. So I would have to vote for them.
Something else I wanted to do as well, by the way, that I forgot to make sure a point of here, but I wanted to also make a point of the previous year's winners, just for fact, really, just useful information. The best newcomer player last year, by the way, was Boxy. So he ended up winning it last year, and again, now we know him as very dominant, skilled, and fun to watch player. So anyway, so Boxy taking it home for that one. So, all right. So as far as the content creator goes, yeah, I mean, Scumbag Network is obviously with the top plays. I mean, they've been a staple when it comes to content creation for a while now. So it's hard to kind of pass them up, but I will say, they were a little bit less active this year than they have been in previous years. And with that in mind, and then Tobaka is really stepping up and putting out a lot of sweet content. His editing's really cool. He's also helped us quite a bit, so maybe a little bit of bias in that sense too. But to be fair, Scumbag has as well. They've done some work for us. I've been able to work with them on. So, but yeah, I think if I had to choose here, Tobaka's was my vote. Zlapped, I definitely deserves a lot of credit to it, to be fair. I mean, he puts in a lot of effort, a lot of hard work. I really liked what you said, Grosse, there, how it's important in general. Like, all these guys are important. It really is. These are the guys that really help make, the community that much better. Hell, Honcast was obviously that from the beginning. So, it's the community, getting content created by the community like this is always important. So, big shout out to all these nominees here. But if I had to vote, and I did, it was Tabaka's. So for me, all right, let's take a look at what the chat thinks right here. Can't say I'm too surprised. But pretty close. Zlap, though, taking it. But again, as I mentioned, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, that chat. Not only because he's a popular person amongst the scene, but he does do a lot of work with those videos. Yep. So, Tabaka's and Scumbag, though, getting a lot of love, too. On top of that, so. Well, still going up a little bit even. Dang, tight race. As far as the actual winner here, we got... Where is it? Content creator. All right, so as far as the winner goes... Tabaka's was the victor in the end. So, yeah, he got pretty overwhelming majority of the votes. By the way, the previous year's winners was Scumbag Network. They were of last year, but Tabaka's taking it home this year here of the 2015. Tabaka's happens to be in chat, so shout out to you, Tabaka's. Hey, congratulations on your victory there. So, yeah. Any reactions? Are we good?
Called it.
As we said, yeah, well deserved. You guys called it, both of you, and obviously he is doing a lot of quality work.
Yeah.
So not too much to say. Congratulations to him. I hope he continues his productions throughout 2016 as well. I'm always looking forward to the videos, and I'm always excited when I see one of them pop up on my social media. So yeah, definitely big shout out to him for all his work.
Yeah, Scyther wasn't a nominee, and you know what? He should have been. I apologize why he wasn't on the list. He has done a couple. I know he hasn't been as active again, kind of that situation, very active this year around. But I know for a fact he definitely did at least a couple of videos here and there. So yeah, he definitely is deserving of credit there too. But yeah, important to have them all. So, but shout out to Tabaka's once again on being the victor here. All right, so moving things on, we got our next category now. Of what is the most improved player of the year. So another interesting category as far as how you interpret it, because it's not just flat out what you thought was the best necessarily. It's taking into consideration, as far as the candidates win at least, these are players that have ideally been around since the previous year, and we kind of knew about them, but maybe not really. And this year, we really started to get to know them that much better. I love seeing reactions in chat. Okay, these are just the nominees, first off. But I think all these are deserving. Yes, even Shorkan. He definitely was a fun player to watch and an improved player on top of that. But yeah, I know this can be interpreted also as as almost like a stab at some players, like, oh, they sucked in the past and they just happen to be good. No, that's not what we mean by this, obviously. It's, again, just by the idea that they became more, much more popular, more powerful, more relevant even, in a sense, this latest year. And we really got to see, what they could do. So, Shorkan, Macera, Fuzzy Sloth, What You Got, and Probusk. So, I can't say I'm too surprised to see two Complexity players, especially on there. Obviously, they're a team that really exploded in this last year. Both Fuzzy and What You Got deserving of that. So, but as far as these nominees go, Regroste, which of your Complexity friends did you vote for?
Well, we'll see who'll yell at me more later, but I think I did vote for Fuzzy Sloth, but I also want to mention Macera, who I think is definitely up there in terms of improving. So, but I gotta go with Fuzzy Sloth. He's always been a good player, but you saw it. The more he kept playing, he instantly became one of the top mid laners, and he's a force to be reckoned with. So, did go with Fuzzy Sloth, but I think Macera is definitely right behind him.
Yeah. Slapped? Or why do we keep calling you Slapped?
Whoa.
I don't know what's going on here.
Slapped on the first breaky.
Should I take it as a compliment?
You should. Slap's a great guy. Very good looking, just like yourself, so there you go.
All right.
There you
Anyways, what do you think, Snooey?
Before I get into my opinions, I just wanted to clarify from Ragroast, didn't mention What You Got at all.
Nope.
What about that one? You don't think he improved?
No, he's always been a staple good player. Bam.
Oh, staple good player.
Yeah.
No, but my opinion, it wasn't too troublesome. I think this is one of the ones that I had an easier time with. Without a doubt, I would go with Fuzzy Sloth here. I just think that he's outstanding right now in terms of improvement throughout the entire year. Like ever since DreamHack Summer, where I watched him play, I feel like he's taken such a centerpiece or center role in Complexity, and I currently feel like he's like the MVP of that team. He's the one like holds them together every single time. Like he's just so damn consistent. He doesn't go for these like Jolo ganks. Like he's always like keeps a cool mind, even if they are far behind. He's just doing his thing and it works. Like he's the one that carries from the mid roll, and therefore, without a doubt, yeah, I'm gonna give him my nominee.
Yeah, Fuzzy Sloth was definitely my vote as well. A lot of the same reasons why you said, really, is what it comes down to. This is a player that, yeah, he's kind of been on the scene. We've known about him, but this last year, complexity, success, no doubt has to. He was a big factor of that. That middle role, it seems to be so important when you look back at the history as far as it being in control of the game and really setting a tone, and he's fantastic at doing that. So. Obviously, all the players deserving to be candidates, but my vote went to Fuzzy Sloth there. Yeah, Probostnot was one we really talked about, but Probostnot was an interesting one to kind of see on this because, again, he has been around for a little bit, but I really think this season, especially with Mint earlier on and what he's been able to do with a lot of these newcomer players, Slaske and different guys we were just mentioning earlier, how he's been able to work with them and have them be able to do pretty well in the end. So. Deserving of a candidate there, but in the end, yeah, Fuzzy Sloth was for me as far as the vote goes. Let's take a look at the community. Pretty overwhelming. Fuzzy Sloth taking it here. A little bit of love for Massera there, and then a couple trickle in here and there. So, as far as the victor though of this category, of what was the most improved, I don't have the graphic. God, I am so fail. For some reason, it's not here.
It's okay. It happens to everyone.
Who the hell
Yep.
won?
We all grief every once in a while, right?
I'm pretty sure we know who won.
God, let me pull it up real quickly. I can't find the graphic. Okay, so nobody wins. Everybody wins. Okay, most improved player. Okay, it was Fuzzy Sloth in the end. He actually got the 6 votes. Massera getting the 3 votes. And then Shortcut and What You Got both getting a couple of votes themselves, so... There you go. That's how it broke down right there, but Fuzzy Sloth was the victor there for that category. So, yeah, I think it's safe to say none of us are really surprised at that result here.
Nope, that was clear.
Yep.
So
Clear as crystal.
Congrats, Fuzzy Sloth, right there. All right, so our previous winner, by the way, on that note, was most improved. It was Lapped, actually. He won it 2014. I mean, that makes sense, too, yeah, because that's when Sync especially, or that time, was really coming strong on the scene, so.
Yeah, I mean, that was the time when they completely or entirely dominated the Western scene for over a year, more or less. People just forgot about that since, or after they went to Thailand and they got knocked out in the group stages, it was like their entire, last year results were just wiped out, unfortunately. But, yeah, they had a time there where they were really dominant.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're better prepared this time if they actually were to manage to get to Winter Season 4 finals, which I'm sure they are.
That's been their bane, hasn't it? DreamHack and then the Han Tour event. I mean, those 2 big events, but they were favored in both. Coming up short, so that's going to be interesting. And we'll talk about Cyclade a little bit later on here as well. But all right, so keeping things going though. Want to keep this pace going here. We got some of these categories now of what's entertainment, entertaining team. We'll start with that one. The most entertaining team, and now again, and I want to make a point too. This was discussed as far as the nominees go. We kind of had a behind-the-scene discussion as well, / put in their opinions in, and we came to these. So it wasn't just that these were just put on at the spur of the moment by any means. There's a little bit of discussion that was had, but again, this is another one of those categories. A lot's up for interpretation, really. What do you find entertaining as far as watching a team and whatnot, as far as strategy goes? But these are what it came to in the end, as far as the 4 teams that were considered to be the more entertaining teams of the year: Bad Monkey Gaming, Sync Esports, Revolution, or Evil Corporation. So I gotta say, putting Evil Corporation up there, it was kind of interesting at first. But the later part of the year, they really started to open it up a bit. They get a lot more aggressive with their strategy, and I think that's definitely been pretty entertaining to watch. So.
They've always been aggressive.
Yeah, they've had a little bit of history.
They're 4 other players.
Yeah, except that one guy. Ruggerostay, though, what do you think as far as these go?
I gotta go in terms of entertaining. I gotta go with BMG, and that's mostly because of Boxy. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the most entertaining team, I mean, come on, he plays those less, the less popular heroes that it might be a little bit weaker, but he makes them work so well.
Kinesis.
And yeah, exactly. Well, stuff like that. But I mean, like he just makes. I don't know. It's all of BMG, but I think Boxy's kind of a big part of it in my opinion.
Zanui?
Most boring team award goes to Complexity Gaming.
That's so true.
Shots fired.
I won't argue with it. I don't think they will.
No.
Well, it's just their playstyle. You got to go with what works. No, but most entertaining team. Like if we were to take a look at the heroes, I would totally go with Revolution. If we were to go on like individual plays, I would go with Bad Monkey Gaming. But as an overall, like I'm a huge fan of Evil Corporation and their playstyle. Especially now when Onmi is back as well. He's just such an aggressive player that just synergizes so well with Tankafet and Nier. So they just constantly run around as a free-man gank unit, more or less. And I also remember DreamHack Summer, the warm-up events, the ones that Recent Gaming, which they were called back in the days, won. I remember the finals of that tournament, and that was, without a doubt, when Evil Corporation played that series, it was without doubt the most impressive plays I've ever seen in Heroes of New York's history. So I'm just going to go with them on this one.
Yeah, this was a tough category for me personally. I mean, because you're saying right there with Evil Corporation, I mean, it was hard to pass them up as far as being not only a really dominant team at times, a good team, but they happen to be entertaining, especially in the later part of it. So, but if I had to vote, and I did.
You did.
Revolution, actually. I think Revolution was one of these teams where they were just like, I looked forward to casting them every single match, even though they weren't necessarily a top-tier team, and their life was pretty short. It was, most certainly. But the time they were here, it was entertainment like every single game, I felt like. From just these crazy strategies, they ran Scout, short lane quite a bit. They ran Shadow Blade. I think they even picked Berserker once or twice. Maybe if I remember. Maybe
oh,
not,
so that's the reason.
so there might be a little bit of bias there, but yeah. They were
Sync.
fun to watch.
Kisu was playing it back in the days.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, so let's see what the community voted for right here. There we go. We got pretty close race, actually. Bad Monkey Gaming, though, taking it according to the community. Kind of pretty close overall. Sync and Evil Corporation getting a good amount of votes, but BMG taking it for the community votes, at least, as far as the Honcast award votes. Most entertaining team was Bad Monkey Gaming was the vote in the end. Very close, though. They got 6. Evil Corporation got 5. And then Revolution kind of
falling short. But that's just comes down to what you said. I mean, their life was relatively short. Something that Shad is pointing out as well is actually the team disbanded, the ones that were the Panay boys, like what was they called, Guefix and VN Sensation, Teltuk, and those guys were playing pre-DreamHack Summer. Those were actually, or that was actually a really entertaining team as well. That's when like the Parasite Shroud and all emerged from.
Yep.
Was it entertaining though?
Yeah, it kind of was.
Was it more grief?
All right. It was fun. No, I agree that they could have been worthy of a nomination, perhaps, but they were not.
Forgot.
They were honorable mention. Honorable mention. There we go. That's the word we'll use. BMG actually won it last year, funny enough. It was a close race. Wait, that's interesting. Oh, that's right, because it was the former BMG team. So BMG won it last year. Willowkeeper got second, which is this now BMG team.
Okay.
Go figure. So interesting how that worked out. The name, though, of BMG has won it twice in a row. Just 2 different teams, of course, as far as who's represented it, really. Okay, so there's for the most entertaining team. Congratulations to Bad Monkey Gaming. Let's move on here to most entertaining player now. Most entertaining player. We got 4 nominees that we ultimately got down to. And again, as you can see, guys, we try. Yes, there could be more, but we try to keep it to 4 to 5 in that range for really most of these categories. Other than MVP, I think it ultimately went to like 7 or 8 even. I mean, MVP, of course, being that ultimate award there, you could say. Pretty big, so. All right, anyways, entertaining player. So 4 right here. We got Boxy, Mickey, Own Me, Matthias, whatever you want to call him, and then Pexu. Actually was on there as well. fun player to watch. So, your guys is let's start with Nui here first. What was your thoughts? This category.
My thoughts, well, all of them very aggressive players in general. As you guys can see as well, I mean, they are one of each from the top teams, except of Fuzzy-Slot, though. That just indicates that he and Complexity got a little bit of a different play style, where they play more of a team composition kind of deal. But Boxy, Mickey, Olmi, all of them not afraid of going for the opportunities that nobody else sees. Like, you can see it from a spectator perspective and still, like, be entirely confused about what just happened. Like, they see opportunities that nobody else does. Simply said, they just go balls to the walls in every single game. So all of them worthy of the nominee picks as well. Has been an interesting player to follow, but to me, he's going to fall a little bit short here. I would probably, if I would have to narrow it down, I would probably go with Boxy simply because of how well he's been performing throughout the entire year with during the season 3 finals. I remember them playing like Valkyrie, a cursed long lane, versus MMR and stuff like that. And then, of course, now lately as well with his signature heroes like Kinesis and Riptide and all those guys, always having those very impressive performances. So I would go with Boxy on this one.
Okay, Rick Roasty, what about you?
I just want to point out the fact that I've been right about all of these so far. So just saying I'm the best here.
Wow.
Just want to point that out there. Just saying. But this
You're
category,
going safe, huh?
I gotta go with. I mean, I just gave it to
after
BMG.
what you thought the community was going to vote for?
Pretty much.
Just so that you could say that?
Yeah.
Okay, who would you go for?
So I'm gonna say I gotta go with Boxy. I mean, I just said BMG is pretty much the most entertaining team because of Boxy. So in this category, I gotta go with Boxy too. But Mickey's pretty interesting sometimes, but he kind of plays those straightforward heroes. I mean, sometimes he plays the pebbles and stuff. It's a little off the chart, but I definitely gotta go with Boxy in terms of just everything that he plays. Everything he plays is just different.
And in different locations too. He goes from
Yeah.
the mid to that suicide, and so changes it up a little bit too, you could say. Yeah, Boxy actually was my vote as well. It seems like we're pretty unanimous, at least us three right here, as far as who we voted for. Boxy pretty much covered all the reasons. Just a fun player to watch, very versatile, very entertaining, takes those risk plays constantly, and it seems like they usually work out, sometimes not, but you got to take them to make the big plays, of course. But yeah, Mickey, I could definitely see, deserving, of course, that nod as well. And sure enough, the community actually likes Mickey quite a bit. Not a surprise there. But he gets a pretty good lead over the others here. Boxy did finish in that second, according to the community here, as far as in chat currently, at least. So there you go with that. As far as the actual winner, I shouldn't say that. As far as the winner that we voted for in the end. Yeah, the actual winner. You guys are wrong. This is all opinion based in the end. As far as the winner, according to our awards here, it was Mickey, actually. So apparently we were the only three to vote for Boxy.
Wow.
Everyone else voted for Mickey except Onmi did get some credit by a couple too, but Mickey did overwhelmingly take it. So we are the minority here. Us three.
That's odd.
Everyone.
I definitely expected Boxy to win that one, especially since BMG took the most entertaining team.
Yeah.
Like, I love to watch Mickey, of course. I mean, his hooks, for example, during DreamHack Summer was something out of this world. But I just feel like Boxy kind of, like the way that BMG drafts and the way that they play just kind of leans a little bit more towards those individual plays. And Boxy just, so dominant in that position. So that's why I chose that. I mean, I see a lot of players or people in chat as well pointing out the fact that Onmi is underrated. But just let me clarify, this is not like a vote for who's actually the best player in any way.
Yeah.
It's simply entertainment alone. So, yeah.
Yeah, kind of the same thing for me. I mean, Mickey, he's a top player, easily one of the top 1 or 2 mid laners in the game. And in terms of entertaining, that's where it's, I feel like it should be Boxy. But I mean, Mickey can play some entertaining things, so I'm not surprised that he won, but I do think Boxy is a little more entertaining.
Yeah. I think the versatility definitely gives him that slight edge for sure. But, again, apparently others disagree, which is fine. They're just wrong.
No, that's not fine. Let's change the vote.
Rig it! That's what we do here at Honcast. Hashtag rigs.
Shouldn't have jinxed myself.
Okay, so now we're going to start getting into more set categories here as to the point of who we thought was the best. We're going to start with our support category, and this one was pretty filled up. I mean, this one was actually I think other than MVP was our most filled up candidate list. It was pretty tough to kind of really break it down to just a very specific. We probably could have, but we felt like, oh, we're at least worthy of a nomination here. So these are the what is that, 7? Yeah, the 7 that we came up with here. So quite the spread, you may think, as far as love given around here. No pun intended. All right, so here's your chance to vote. But what did you guys think? Who did you vote for?
I can't recall.
Okay, so we'll start with you.
I can't recall who I voted for. So damn close. I've literally no idea who I picked, but just going from this list here, I would probably lean towards. It's so damn difficult, seeing as you have to take the entire year into consideration. Insania, of course, I mean, being the captain, being the drafter for Sync Esports, making sure that Sync qualified to the Season 3 finals, as well as the DreamHack, always being a great support with insane game knowledge and all those small mechanics and all, like, new thinking, so to say. I like him being creative and all. So I would probably vote for him simply because of that, because he always brings new ideas to the table, and therefore just like he gives the most to his team. Near as well, always so consistent, always behind Imba Boy with that Andromeda swap for the Clanks, as we recall from DreamHack Summer. All of them are so good. Serenia now lately, of course, with the new Sync roster, but before that, I'm not entirely sure if we could give him the nominee. Then Love as well, of course, upcoming now in the end. Fusen, of course, being one of the winners of Season 3. Tough one.
Like, yeah.
It's so insanely hard, but I would probably go with Insania, actually. Simply because what he does and his creative mind.
All right, Regrosta?
I feel like if we were like to do what he said, I feel like if this was award for best captain, I'd have to give it a captain support combination. I'd have to give it to Insania because that's what he's very, very good at it. But I mean, in terms of just pure support, I got to go with Nier in my eyes. I think from what we've seen of the combo between Imba Boy and Nier, Imba Boy never dies if Nier's there. Nier will always put himself in danger to make sure Imba gets out. And I think in terms of pure support, I got to give it to Nier. But if we were doing a captain kind of thing, then yeah, Insania would be my other vote.
Yeah, it's as you said, it's hard to make that judgment call. But I was thinking more about creative things as well. Like I know Insania, for example, like they buy TPs every single time and they port down. Like I mean, that has to go into the vote as well, I assume. Those kind of creative thinking. But yeah, tough one. What did you vote for, Breaking?
Well, yeah, it's tough. Like you guys are getting at, Insania really kind of set a new definition of what support was with his very aggressive. I want to get farm. I want to be greedy at points. Get that portal key on Moira because it's ultimately going to help the better of the team kind of mentality. The mentality of support up until he really started doing that, I feel like, was this I gotta sacrifice myself, which you could argue in a lot of cases that is the better way to do it, but I mean that wasn't his way, and he has results throughout history to definitely back that up, and obviously was a great player at that. So yeah, I mean for that, I mean I had to go with Insania as far as just overall being the best support. And yes, unfortunately no longer playing Han, although he did play recently here, and I actually even had him co-cast recently, so it's not like he's completely left us, but he is no longer technically in the competitive scene. But yeah, Insania would have to have gotten my vote. So Fusen, by the way, I know you're talking about like support captain combinations. Obviously Fusen is one of those. Hell, Serenia even has history with that. So yeah, this role definitely breeds that, I guess. All right, as far as the community voted for, it was Insania. A little bit of spread there after Insania, but Insania was seemingly to be the overwhelming victor here by the community, at least. At least currently in chat, that is.
Yeah, no surprise by that.
Yeah, exactly. Not a big surprise there. As far as the victor for our awards, so the support winner, it was Insania in the end. So see a little bit of spread right there. You go big, actually, getting a little bit of love. A couple of votes there. So there you go. A couple for Nier, one for Fusen, one for Serenia. But Insania, despite having so many, he did overwhelmingly take the cake here. By the way, I forgot to mention, last year's entertaining player was Mickey, sure enough, so he's now won it back-to-back years officially here. The best support last year, It was a very close race, but Insania barely beat out Z-Freak last
Oh,
year as
wow.
far as best support. It was the closest of all the categories, and even Seal Kid was up there very close to them. So support that throughout kind of history has actually been a very, very tight race. This year, though, it seemed like a lot agree that Insania was more the overwhelming victor in the end. So there we go. So that's support. Any other reaction on that?
No, as we said, more or less. It just comes to his overall impact of Sync Esports and what he actually built throughout his time in the competitive scene.
All right. Very good. Let's move on to
Good.
our next role here, the Suicide role, offlane, whatever you want to call it. Our nominees for that role. Now, this first name may throw people off a little bit, but again, you got to remember, even lately he has been doing this, but really, when he first came out of the scene, this was his role, Boxy, and earlier in the year, so and when they won, for that matter, DreamHack. Not DreamHack, the World Finals. Anyways, Boxy is the first on the list. You got Zane, Keizu, Zibe, and Oscar. Man, I look at this list, and this is probably one of the, if you could argue, the toughest category here to vote for. Like, that's... all five could win this 100%. In my mind. So, yeah, Regroste, what do you think?
Yeah, like you said, this was probably the hardest one by far for me. This one I actually sat and I remember looking at it for like 5-10 minutes going, crap.
Yeah.
It's so hard because, we talk about Oscar so much getting, a portal key at 15 minutes no matter what happens. Zive is just constantly consistent. Zane is constantly consistent. Keizu was consistent. Boxy's a little bit different because he goes everywhere, but Boxy also was consistent. This is a pretty hard one, but gotta give it to Oscar with Zane barely trailing behind, and I mean by barely. And I think that's I'm gonna go with that one. I definitely think Oscar's probably the best here, and then Zane very very close behind. But yeah,
bias.
Maybe.
No, you had to vote for somebody. Again, it's a tough call. So you got Oscar there barely. Snooey?
Tough one, but in the end, I would go with Sibbe on this one, simply because of his versatile play style. He can literally play every single hero in the game. And make it work on the suicide lane. He's been around ever since Season 1, and he's been competing and stood toe-to-toe with the best players in Heroes of New York's history in 1v1 situations. Like, he was feared even back in Season 1, and he's still here, he's still competing, and he's one of the more respected players on the scene today. As well as the fact that I feel like every single time like Sync Esports gives him something, like unless the enemy team shuts him down, unless they focus two heroes on him constantly, I just feel like he's going to take over. Like, I just feel like it's so dangerous to leave him into a 1v1 situation. I feel like anything can happen in that case. So more of like a fear factor there. I think that Sibbe is the one that deserves the award. Kieso, of course, as well, being very dominant on the suicide lane, but if we were to look at the overall picture, I think that Sibbe is the one that actually deserves it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, man, I gotta say, I've always been. I honestly don't even know who I voted for, and I almost want to check, but like I kind of don't want to check because I kind of want to just have my opinion right now. And just looking at this list right now, like. I've always been so impressed by just the absolute consistency that this player is going to bring in Zane for Evo Corporation. He just always gets the job done, I feel like. And in some cases, especially if he happens to be playing something like a War Beast, he will carry for the team. Obviously, he's been around for a while. The synergy that he has with his brother and Immo Boy, you could definitely tell at times in the games. I mean, he's just such an impressive player in that role. He does it so well, and really getting to watch him at DreamHack and I got to watch this team the most because obviously of not only how well they did, but just to actually watch them play, like literally sitting in their chairs and playing. Just their calmness that they have, and just yet they're so good on that execution thing. Obviously, I'm talking about Immo Boy and Zane for that matter. But so if voting for somebody here, I would go for Zane as far as the top suicide player. Let's take a look at what the community thinks, and pretty good spread right here, but Keizu does take it according to the community, getting actually a bit of a lead over the others of Zane and Zibe, actually. There you have it right there, and then Boxy and Oscar wrapping it up, but yeah, no doubt. I think this is the toughest category, really, again, just kind of looking at it that we had right here. So as far as the winner, according to our polls, or our votes here, of the Suicide Roll, the official winner was Boxy. Yeah, talk about coming out of left field, huh?
Well, okay.
Now, to be fair, it was very close, again, as you may expect. Boxy, though, getting 5 of the votes. Keizu getting 4. And then it goes down with Zane, Oscar, and Zibe right there. So, but Boxy...
Whoa, Zibe getting 1 vote.
Top Suicide player.
And Oscar as well.
Of the year.
This...
They did win the World Finals with him at Suicide. So
they did.
He was a big factor with his kinesis in those World Finals.
That's true.
So, like, that's one event, yes, but...
Yeah. That one's...
Seems a little unsure.
Yeah, it's just... I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Boxy's amazing, but it just seems like he's more... I don't know. I feel like he was more of the mid player throughout this year than Suicide player, but even then speaking, I feel like, I don't know, how Oscar and Zane got no love. It's just...
Yeah.
They're both so consistent all the time, and Keizu makes sense to me, but it's just, I don't know, those are the two that stuck out. And even Zibe, like Zanui said, I mean, always consistent as well. So that one surprised me a little bit. Very surprised.
This was a category that would have really benefited from that top 3 voting, like I was saying, because when it's this close, it's so hard to sit here and say, oh yeah, no, Boxy definitely the clear victor. He deserves that. Like, not that he doesn't, but yeah, this could have gone really. Any of the names would have popped up, and I would not have been surprised to see the result. It's kind of funny because I know I put these graphics together and everything in these results, but it even surprises me. I honestly kind of forgot about that one. So Boxy, and you know what's interesting about that too? Boxy actually, no, did he? No, he did not. I apologize. Keizu won the best Suicide last year. Actually, Boxy got 3rd last year, but it was Keizu, Jonasum Fan, and then Boxy as far as the Suicides the previous year. So Keizu won last year. Boxy wins it for 2015. All right. Keeping it going here. We got our jungle roll. God, what was up with me misspelling O's, man?
Uh-oh. What did you do wrong on this
God. One? Anyways, okay,
Third time's the charm.
What you got? Tankafet, Iceland Go-Go. My keyboard must not have been working. There's 2 different names. And then Teltalk, a.k.a. Teltalk. It was Teltalk. I promise it was right when people were voting and everything. Oh, God, this is professional production at its finest. Okay, so what do you guys think of these 5 players right here as far as the jungle roll goes?
Yeah, you want to go first, Ragroast?
Sure. So this one, I got to go as Lapped 100%. Consistently throughout the year. He's just, you look at him and he always does everything. I mean, I even look back at the specific game when he was Doctor that I casted with you, Break. He he missed both ward spots, had the worst start of his life, still came back, still won the game. Gotta 100% give it to Zlapt. Sorry, what you got? You get no love on this one, but gonna give this one to Zlapt.
Okay. Snooey?
The magnitude of the jungler in this current meta is enormous. Like, I feel like it's all about the jungler throughout the early game, more or less, whether or not they find farm or not. And I also feel like that's one of like Sync Esports' current strengths, that they are, so consistent in that jungler role. Just having Slapped on the draft role as well, allowing Sync Esports to just draft entirely around himself, or not entirely around himself, but around the force role, which I feel like just plays such a huge impact, or have such a huge impact in the current stage of the game. So all of them, like, they have their own personal play styles. Like Teltuk, for example, as we spoke about earlier with the Parasite Shroud and all that, it's always entertaining to watch. But I mean, if we were to look at, as Ragrost said, consistency throughout the entire year, I would also have to go with Slapped, even though I think that all of them kind of deserves a little bit of an extra nominee here, an award here, just simply because of their playing that insanely versatile role in the forest, and just, yeah, so much depends on them right now. So I feel all of them deserves an award in that way. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Slapped.
Yeah, it's hard to not go with Slapped, honestly, in my mind. it's interesting how the jungle has kind of shifted, and it is very impactful still nowadays, but it is different at the same time. Yeah, where it used to be that keeper, the Tempest, the Ophelia for the push factor. Now it is more that aggressive play, the gank, and Slaps kind of just has that all around play. Not only is he obviously just very good at what he does, he tends to be an entertaining player in my mind, and he also is pretty diverse as far as what he plays. We saw, a bit of things like Legionnaire, Solstice. He's the only jungler that's known to play Solstice from what I still remember seeing. So, and then of course results definitely speak for themselves as well. Maybe not those big LAN events, but obviously a lot of these other ones. Sync has been up top, and him in that jungle role, a big part of that. So, yeah, Zlap for me was was my vote as well, and taking a look at what the community thought, and can't be too surprised on this one.
Well,
but Zlapt did take the cake here according to them as well. But take a Fed, what you got, getting a little bit of love there. So props to them. But yeah, Zlapt taking it home for them. So now the actual victor, again, not the actual victor, what our awards suggest is the victor. The Honcast awards here. It did go to Zlapt.
Yeah,
surprise.
He got 7 of the votes there. What you got actually getting 4 of them. So again, getting a bit of love as himself, and then Tank Fed until took wrapping it up there. So, but yeah, Zlapt, victor here of the top jungler of the year. He also won it last year. Actually, he beat out Hanskin and My Nuts.
wow.
So, name I haven't said in a while.
Yeah, those names. But they were only playing up until the Hunter Season 2 finals, if I'm not mistaken. So,
But so yeah, back-to-back years here. So yeah, what do you guys think?
not surprised. Like, he's just always so consistent, and the fact that he controls the draft as well allows him to build his strategy around the jungler. Always, like, he's been creative as well, as you were mentioning with the Solstice and all. Like, he's the only jungler who's got Solstice with a fast Polki work successfully in high-tier competitive play. I think the Tankafed deserves a little bit more love. What you got, of course, doing an excellent job, and he's improved a lot for complexity gaming. But the Tankafed as well, like, I know that he's a little bit busy with real life stuff as well, but I feel like he's, like, for not playing as much and still having that kind of micro and that kind of control. And if you would have actually played with Evil Corporation from time to time, like scrimmed or something, like, his calls as well is just so on top every single time. Like, I don't know, I just feel like he's, the way the Tankafed plays, like the way Evil Corporation plays, like, he plays so damn aggressive as a jungler. Even when he plays an Ophelia, I feel like Tankafed is like diving towers really damn early on in the game. So a little bit of a shout out to him for that. But yeah, Slapped, definitely deserving of the win.
Yep. Or Ghost, anything else?
Nope, simple as that.
All right. I do want to address something here that's being brought up. Like, guys, again, with any kind of awards thing anywhere, it's ultimately opinion. It's not an absolute fact, guys. I mean, you're allowed to have your own opinions, and yes, if you think that these winners are wrong, that shouldn't be the case, then you're absolutely allowed to suggest that, and you may be very likely right. But this is just, it's really about having fun and giving recognition in the end. I understand that, yeah, people are looking at this like, oh, only 13 votes, like, that doesn't mean anything. Well, it was selected people from behind the scenes that are pretty damn involved in Heroes and Heroes competitive community, especially from players themselves to people that watch it a lot. And, that not that has to mean something, but it's the way we decided to go about it this year. I mean, so these are the Honcast awards here. So, yes, I understand that this isn't the... Don't take this as, like, this is the absolute, there is no question, like, results. That's why I'm being very clear and even giving you guys a chance in the straw poll to see what you guys think as well. This is supposed to be for fun and recognition in the end. Nothing ultimately more than that. So just so we're all on the same page here, hopefully. All right. Anyways, moving on here. Mid-roll. We got our mid-roll coming up next. We got 5 nominees here. We got, God, I really should have checked these. Mickey, Ownby Matthias, Fuzzy Sloth, Macera, and Krake. Krake, a name you may kind of forgotten, but
wow.
Again, part of the Han Tour Season 3 World Final Champions in Bad Monkey Gaming over there. Yes.
Masera and Mickey, yeah. Nice spelling.
Yeah, I know. All right, what do you
Oh
guys think,
well,
though?
we all know what you mean. Yeah, interesting to see Crack on the list. Kind of a player that you forgot about, seeing as but he was, yeah, playing. I mean, obviously he won the World Finals season 3 and had quite an impact on DreamHack Summer as well. So definitely deserving of being on the list. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, I'm gonna focus on the other ones. Who am I missing, by the way? Who's not from the box? Is not on the list. Best middle slash ganker. I almost feel like he should have been there.
Yeah.
Maybe we forgot about him a little bit.
No.
Uh, but apart from that, yeah, Mike Only playing very aggressively, Masera as well. I think that Fuzzy plays a little bit more coordinated, more towards his own team composition. Like he's not as aggressive, but at the same time, he's never going to slip up. Like he's always going to make sure that he always goes for the kills that he's 100% sure that he's going to get, more or less. And I just feel like he's synergizing so well with the kind of team composition or the strategy the complexity is running, just seeing as he's a little bit more defensive. When Mikken, Olmi, or Marcera were to get a Polki, you would be like, oh, okay, guys, careful, because now there is a smoke gank coming. When Fuzzy gets his, it's usually on a little bit more defensive heroes as well. I love when complexity is playing like Riptide and the Prisoner, a little bit more aggressive styles, but most of the time they tend to draft more defensive and well, I mean, it's not. I'm not gonna drag it out too much here. I can talk about this stuff forever, but yeah, final vote for my personal opinion list is going to be Mick. Of course, there's not too much of a question there. I just feel like he's a little bit above everyone else right now.
Okay, Rick Roaster.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those thing where I feel like they all kind of have a chance here, but I think the three that stick out to me are the Mickey, Matthias, and the Fuzzy Sloth. But yeah, I kind of got to go with Nui on this one. I mean, I think that they're all three very close in terms of skill, but I kind of got to go with Mickey as well. I think he he just never loses. He always will win his lane, some way, shape, or form. He could be in the worst matchup in the world, and he'll still win his lane. So I do got to give it to Mickey, but I think those, all three that I've named are very, very close.
I've been very impressed with Own Me, especially as of late. Now, again, I try to take into consideration that's the way this is all up to interpretation and matter of opinion ultimately in the end. So for me, I've been very impressed as of late with Own Me, but because it has been happening for a good amount of the year, it is hard to give him that vote. Fuzzy Sloth, again, keeping in mind that this is who we thought maybe was the best, whether that's the best impact or whatever. For me, it was Fuzzy Sloth. Mickey, yes, when it comes to entertainment factor, when it comes to really setting a pace for his team, in his case, Sync Esports, obviously he's very good at that. But I think Fuzzy Sloth is, you could argue, the main reason why Complexity has been having the success that they have been doing, because of that is such an important role to really kind of control and set the pace for the game. And this is a player that wasn't on the most entertaining. He was one of the few mids, as we pointed out, that wasn't on the most entertaining player. Because frankly, maybe he's not taking these huge risks that these other players are doing, but he's getting the job done of what's necessary. So I think my vote definitely would go to Fuzzy Sloth here as far as the top mid player of the year. As far as what the community thought in chat currently, we got their straw poll, and it is looking like Mickey taking it home. So yeah, by quite a bit. Again, a lot of fans in general too, but it's not surprising as well. Obviously, definitely deserving of votes there. Fuzzy Sloth is in second according to them, right there as well. Okay.
Yeah, you can't forget about Mickey when he had a 1 versus 1 mid tournament versus the old BMG, and he took out each and every single one of them, 5 1 versus 1s in a row, and just defeating Limp in the final one was kind of an epic one that I remember still to this day. So yeah, not too surprising that he wins this one.
Well, by the community. That's not the
Okay,
Honcast
okay.
award
Oh.
winner. Yeah, that was the community. So yeah, to clarify. As far as the winner for the Honcast award here, it was Fuzzy Sloth.
Really?
Yeah, Fuzzy Sloth taking it. He got 7 votes actually. He got 5 for Mickey, and then Own Me even getting a little bit of love there. But it was really a two-way race. But Fuzzy Sloth ultimately taking it home as far as the top mid-player of the year. So congratulations to Fuzzy. By the way, last year it was Mickey that got the award last year over Limp and Swindlemellons. Or the other
Wow.
two. So, but
Okay.
this year it is Fuzzy Sloth, best mid.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
can't
I'm
argue with it.
surprised. What? You can't?
Well, I can't argue with it for the fact that, like you said, like Breaky said, he did say that he isn't the most entertaining mid player, but he gets the job done and he plays the role like how it's supposed to be played. But there's also different ways to play the role. He doesn't play the full aggressive strategy, but he plays very supportive. So it doesn't surprise me that he won over Mickey, but I think, like I said, they were both pretty close.
Yeah, if we were to look at the entire years and all, like
That's
I
true.
would go with Mickey because he's been in the season 3 World Finals. He placed third in DreamHack Summer. He's here now. He's about to qualify once more to the season 4 finals. Just feel like he's always been such a dominating force on the scene, and yeah, in my mind, he's the best. But I mean, no hate for Fuzzy, of course. I love that guy as well, and he's well deserved of it. But just think that, well, yeah, I know. It's questionable. It was close, so just going to leave it at that.
Yeah. It's a close two-way race for sure. But yeah, Fuzzy Sloth slightly edging out Mickey right there as far as the top mid player. So congratulations to him. Okay, moving on to our next category. We only got 3 more left. We got what's going to be carry, and then our 2 big ones, of course, of MVP and Team of the Year. We got carry here, a list of 5 candidates. Imbaboy, Flensmeister, Formless, Baltazar, and Probusk. So, 5 fantastic carry players, of course. Not surprised to see anyone on this list, any of these on this list. So what do you guys think of our candidates here?
I'll go first this time, Zday.
Yeah, sure. Or did you ask me to go first?
Yeah, you go first this time.
Okay, I go first. I want to go with Punk Bang. No, but obviously this is just for the European and the American scene.
Yeah, that's a good point, though.
It's Formless always finds farm, or that's the way that the team composition is built. That's their strategy. They always focus farm on him. Same with Balthazar. BMG, they start off a bit offensive, then they transition more to a 4-on-1 protect Balthazar, and he more or less takes over with a little bit more aggressive heroes such as the Silhouette. Flensmeister as well, of course, having a very solid performance on DreamHack and all that, but maybe I should just say something about Probusk here as well. Obviously, he's here playing, or played throughout the entire year as well, but he hasn't quite found the results as the others have. In my opinion, he's been falling short a little bit on DreamHack Summer, and now again, like obviously, he's making a strong impact, and they still got a chance to qualify for the Season 4 finals, but I still think that the others, Imbaboy here especially, is the one that's most deserving of this one. He's just, when I think carry player, like I just think Imbaboy instantly, because he's always delivering, he's always finding the farm, and I just feel like the way that Evil Corporation builds their strategy around him is just so damn effective. It feels like they synergize so well as a team, and Imbaboy on that carry role is kind of like the core, I feel. In many teams, like there is the mid player who's the core of the team, but in Evil Corporation, I almost feel like it's Imbaboy that's more or less acting as the core there. So I'm gonna go vote for him.
All right, Rogroster.
This one was a little bit harder for me. It was clear in my eyes of either Imbaboy or Formless, but this one was hard because when I look at Imbaboy, like as Nui said, he is kind of that one role. He is everything for that team. But when you look at Formless, he's surrounded by his team, and he relies on his team heavily. So I think when you're looking at individual skill of a carry, I got to give it to Imbaboy. But in terms of being a team carry, I got to give it to Formless. So it is a hard one for me. So I'm gonna just keep it neutral there and say either Imba or Formless, because I actually don't really remember who I voted for between the two, in all honesty.
Oh, you remember.
No, I really don't. In all honesty, I don't remember if I voted for Formless or not.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of love for Imbaboy. I think he knows. I talk to him all the time. I even ask him a lot of the time about carry stuff. So it's very hard for me. I'll give the extra edge to Imbaboy on this one, but
Okay.
I think it's very, very close.
People, I see a couple people bringing up Haxerin as far as a candidate. Now, it's Yeah, yes, there is argument that he probably at least should have been a candidate, but I will say that remember, especially in the early parts of this season, he was actually playing the middle role. He wasn't even in the carry role, and pretty much all throughout the year, he wasn't really involved too much at all. He was kind of trickled here and there. So, yes, if we're talking about like these last couple of months, absolutely. I mean, he would be a candidate for top carry player. But as far as the whole 2015 year, I mean, I'm fine him not being on the list, to be honest, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's an honorable mention, sure. So there's that. As far as what the community voted here, we got Imbo Boy taking it. Now, again, it's pretty close for you guys. Yeah, did have Formless in that second. Probus, Flensmeister, Baltazar all getting a little bit of love, too. So overall, quite unsure. But in the end, Imbo Boy taking it for them. As far as the Honcast awards go, and who won the carry? This is going to be a fun one.
Yep.
Because I say this because it actually ended up in a split.
Oh, please tell me it's Imbo Boy.
And Formless.
Yes, I called it.
Were the two.
So you're still right, Sam.
So you're still kind of right in the end of what you're saying. So, and you know what? When I saw this result, I mean, part of me was like, should we try to figure out a way to somehow like actually get a true winner, whether it's another vote or redo vote just for these two? But honestly, then I thought to myself, this makes sense. Like these two players, like they're just so good in that role. They've done so much throughout this year. If there's a category that had to have two winners, this would have to be it. I mean, these two are both very deserving of said awards. So I personally, in the end, I was fine seeing that we had a split result here. So,
yep.
Anything to add from you guys?
No, not too much. I know one way we could actually try to figure it out. We could have both of them join a practice game, and they could sit on the safe lane, and they could last it. The one who misses a last it first is the loser.
There you go. That could just do that one thing to determine it all. Yeah.
We'll take hours.
We will see who dies from exhaustion first.
We should make them play like a 1v1 to determine who's the best carry. Like that should actually be what it is. It's just like
I'm not sure if that's more suitable for the mid.
That's true.
You know what? They should both play their signature heroes. Go 1v1. Clanks versus Oogie.
Oh god.
Let's see it.
Okay.
I would favor Oogie for that one if he gets the sheep stick. But at the same time, he doesn't have a nullstone remover if Clanks gets a nullstone, so it's even once again.
Would that be entertaining though? I don't know if it would be.
It would last for an hour,
It
but
would last
I think
a while.
I think eventually it would be entertaining.
Yeah.
Possibly. I don't think that either one could actually kill the other one.
I don't think so either.
As long as they keep on running. They could just post haste away as well.
They both get stopped.
Before the other one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, again, not really disappointed that was ended up in a split because again, they both really do deserve it. Our previous year winner, by the way, of carry was Fusey. And then Flensmeister and Beaverbanger, now known as Formless, actually kind of rounded up the top three. But Fusey, of course, RIP for him, unfortunately. But he was deserving of the carry the previous year there. So, all right, we got our final two categories now. Obviously, very important ones or bigger ones, you could say. Most valuable player. We'll start with this one. And as mentioned, again, this was a what did it end up with? 8 players on the list, it looks like. Yeah, 8 players on the list. So this was a tough one. We have Mickey, Zlapt, Fuzzy Sloth, Imba Boy, Formless with one S, Probusk, Kazu, and Zane. So those are the 4 or the 8, excuse me, that are on this list here. Yeah.
I don't recall who I voted for.
I don't either. Now looking at this and just thinking like, who the hell did I vote for? I don't know. So and I will say this. I'd like to bring this up. I mean, most valuable player is the most. There is no set thing as far as what really this means. This is completely up to the voter how they want to interpret it. Whether it just truly was they were that most valuable to that specific team, whether they were just outright the best player they think skill-wise in the whole competitive community. I mean, there's so many ways that you can look at it. Ideally, you kind of look at them all and then factor that all in, but, it's obviously it's difficult. So with that in mind, what do you guys think? I'm going to make the poll right here. Give me a second.
Snowy, you go first. I don't want to go first on this one.
Oh, the most valuable player. That's quite an award. Each and every single name on this list is more than worthy of the nominee. Let's see. Mikke, Slapped, Fuzzy, my boy, all of them are so damn important for their each specific team. I almost feel like Tankefet should be on this list as well. I just feel like he has such an important role for Evil Corporation. But that probably comes down as well to how like the magnitude of the current jungler has in this meta. I don't know. I mean, Slapped is, I mean, most valuable player. I mean, you gotta take draft into consideration as well, I assume, because and the captain role. I mean, that is part of the game, so it should be part of why you vote for a specific player. And in that sense, I would almost go with Slap simply because I think that he brings the most to his teams in terms of draft as well as calls and the jungler role. Obviously, Mikke, excellent player. If it were or entirely up to player mechanics, I would go for him. Then Fuzzy as well, like he's got a little bit of a different play style than the other mid hero or mid players, but he just does his part so well and he's so consistent. Imbaboy, as we were talking about as well, formless, Probus Kiss is saying, I don't know, I'm gonna have to go with Slapped because if I were to judge it by like who has the most impact for the team in general, then I'm gonna go and vote for Slapped on this one.
Okay, what do you think, Grosse?
Well, I'm gonna have some fun here, and we're gonna poke some fun at the sync versus complexity. And basically for the same reason why Znui said Zlapt is the best in terms of being a drafter, being, that main person on his team. I'm going to go with Formless and say that, he kind of does the same thing. He's their drafter. They do team draft a little bit, but he does, he's a, pretty big part of it. And, I mean, he's solid all the time. I mean, even, if he doesn't have farm to start, he'll always catch up. So I'm gonna say Formless. I think, like Znui said, though, this is kind of, everyone on this list can some way, shape, or form be an MVP in their own way, in like their own style of play. Mm-hmm. But in terms of, you got to factor in being a captain in overall MVP. So to poke fun at the complexity versus sync, I'm gonna say Formless.
Okay, you got Formless, you got Zlap Snooey. To be honest, I did look back to see who I actually did vote for because I'm looking at this right here, and I mean I could give so many reasons as to different players. So I did vote for Imbaboy, actually, of Evo Corporation, and my logic ultimately came down to when I think Evo Corporation. And formerly Reason Gaming, the identity that they've always had through a bit of transition over time is Imbaboy, I feel like, as far as being that core of the team, of revolving the strategy around him for the most part. And again, especially at DreamHack, I was just so impressed with the whole team's play, but him and his brothers, like I was mentioning earlier, as far as just their composure and their calmness and just how well they executed what they needed to do. So for me, Imbaboy was the most valuable player, but whoever wins this, deserved, and congratulations, of course. So as far as what the community has voted for the most valuable player, according to chat currently, it's tied, actually. Zlapt and Mikke, sure enough, both are tied in first place, and then Fuzzy Sloth. There's 99 votes, guys. Come on, one more vote. We need one more vote to determine this. Either Zlapt or Mikke. No, this is just for the community, so again, just fun here. I mean, this ultimately all is, of course. But see, there you go, Zlapt. He got it. He got that one extra vote.
Gosh.
All right. But, so yeah, obviously a very tough category. Everyone getting a vote on this list. All 8 players at least getting a vote here. Worth mentioning, too, I think. So as far as the community went there. Okay, so now the most valuable player for the Honcast Awards. Again, when you have 8 players and there's 13 voters, obviously, it is a little tough. It is a little tough. But in the end, as a result of how the voting went, our winner was, for most valuable player 2015, it was Fuzzy Sloth. Fuzzy Sloth taking it for complexity. Isn't that interesting? None of us really brought up his name.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have brought up his name several
But
times
several
throughout the
times throughout,
It's
podcast.
yeah.
just
That's probably why we didn't really mention him. I mean, it's a tough one. I'm not sure if you could. I mean, we're not determining who's the best player necessarily. We're
No.
determining like who would, like what team would lose the most of actually losing the player, more or less. And I'm not sure. I think that complexity could somehow survive without Fuzzy. I'm not sure if Sinkies would do the same without Slapped. Uh, there are a limited amount of jungler players in the game as well, but of course, well deserved. He's improved a lot throughout the year, so I'm just gonna say congrats to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some good points you bring up about, again, that's where this is, because it really is an interpretation of what the award means, of that most valuable player. And in your mind, as you're pointing out, yeah, if you were to take him away, would that really cripple them as much as it would for Slapped and Sink? So I see what you're saying, definitely. That's very fair. Regroste?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised Fuzzy Sloth won in any way. I mean, like I think we said a little bit earlier, if we're looking at mechanically skilled and talent in the video game, by itself, that you can look at Fuzzy Sloth and Mickey, pretty heavily for that. But when I think of MVP, I think overall how much they offer to a team, and yeah, that's when you look at the Slaps, the Imba boys, people like that. So a little surprised that he won MVP, but it's not that surprising.
Anyone could have. It's another one of those categories. I really wouldn't be surprised to frankly see anyone in that victor spot. But yeah, Mickey did get that second place, of course, with 3 votes. But again, it's very, very close. And only having 13 votes, yes, take that how you will. Like I'm sitting here saying, this is not the absolute. Obviously, the most valuable player was Fuzzy Sloth. This is just what it happened to be, according to the way we did our voting here at the Honcast Awards. By the way, worth pointing out, our most valuable player last year actually was Mickey, if you remember. He actually barely beat out Swinomelons for the most valuable player. It was an insanely close race right there. And then Hanskin even got third, and he too was pretty close amongst it. So, but Mickey did take it home last year.
Please bring up the points.
The points?
Yeah, the one we were talking about when he won it last year. How his first comment back was, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go to Thailand and then I'm out of here. I'm gonna go play Dota 2." And now 1 year later, he's here.
Yeah,
he's still here. He's playing the game that he loves, and he came back. Simple said, and now he's on the way to once again qualify for the Hunter Season 4 final. So glad that he's still around to entertain us.
Of course. Yeah, no, that was an interesting time, but no, it is exactly. It's good to see him still around and obviously doing what he's doing here in the Han scene. So, all right, we got our final category now. Final category going to be coming up, and of course, it's a big one. Got our team of the year. Now, I'll say this for the again. I want to say this is the 4th year technically we've done this. I was really looking back at the previous years, but I got the last year's, of course, information. But we've done this now for a little more than that. Throughout history, though, in general, like obviously our scene, we've had those 1-2 dominating teams. I mean, I've brought this up several times on casts. For the first time this season, and now in the first time in this case for this award, I mean, we're looking at 4 teams right here. There's argument to be made for any of these 4 teams. Sync Esports probably has won more within this last year. I think it's safe to say they've won more as far as overall games than any other team on the list. Bad Monkey Gaming, they were the World Finals champions of Han Tour Season 3. Complexity Gaming has won the most cycles here in this season of Han Tour Season 4. And then you got Evo Corporation, who did their performance at DreamHack and has just always been a very consistently good team all throughout. I mean, all 4 of these teams have very good reason to be the team of the year here, honestly, and that's just really cool to see. All right, so with that said, we'll start with you, Regroste. Let's start with you. Who would you vote for team of the year?
So when I think back, toward the early start of this year, I think Sync and ECX as those 1-2 teams, and with BMG being there too, but ECX is the one that stands out to me the most. But then you go more into this year, and then I see Sync and Complexity, and then ECX. It's kind of just a hard one to judge, but In my opinion, I'm going to give it to ECX because I feel like they've been the most. I don't know. I feel like, with Imba playing carry, always does well, so strong. And then they just have a whole team supporting him, and they run that 4-1 strat so well. So I'm going to give it to ECX on this one. Like you said, I think this is one where it can kind of be judged based on what you think or how you judge the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think ECX, in my opinion, is the team of the year.
Evil Corporation, all right. What do you guys know?
Ooh. Do we like Sync Esports? They only got 2 of the original members left, so I'm a little bit hesitant whether or not I really want to include this newly formed roster as we have seen during the last 2 cycles or so for them. But if we were, then I would definitely go with Sync Esports. I think that's a no-brainer, even though they haven't necessarily won any LAN events. Sorry, I have to say that, but they haven't. But apart from that, I just feel like they've always been the competitive team that you look up on and you rate as number one. If you're a competitive player, you're like, yeah, I think esports, they are the one team to beat. That's how I consider at least when I put my vote on this nominee. So BMG, you can't take away the fact that they won the World Finals, but apart from that, they had a little bit of a disappointment performance at DreamHack Summer, and ever since then, I mean, they are not up in the top 2 now for Cycle 4 or Season 4 either. So I wouldn't want to go as far to give them the prize for the best team of 2015. Same Evil Corporation, they have yet to prove themselves as that number 1 team. Complexity Gaming as well. I mean, the only one that's really done it, I mean, BMG, Season 3, and then it was MMR or MRR. During DreamHack Summer. So I still think we have, I'm just going to go ahead and say Sync Esports. I'm not going to drag it out there. Sync Esports gets my vote.
It's understandable. Again, you can sit here kind of talking through all these things and trying to really come to a conclusion, but you got to eventually, just say something because, you're going to go in circles, I feel like, and I'm going to kind of do that here a little bit, but it's weird because I think Sync Esports. And then it's like, well, they didn't win the 2 biggest events of the year, so how do I vote for them? Well, so they got 2 things actually that are kind of against them. They didn't win the 2 biggest events of the year, and then their roster has changed a little bit. Not that every team hasn't been through that to an extent, but their roster has changed more than any of these other teams, I think you could say, in the end throughout the year. So there's that to take into consideration. Then it's like, oh, well, then what about the team that won Season 3, BMG? Well, as you pointed out, Stewie, what have they done since then? It hasn't honestly been that great, They have been underperforming in a lot of ways. They've always been a consistent, okay team, but not what we expect from our defending champion. So, can't really go with them. Evil Corporation, they just are consistently really good. I mean, it's like, so you got that aspect. They've won a cycle here this season, but other than that, what is their biggest? They finished second at DreamHack, which is obviously a very big deal. But they didn't win it in the end. So then of course the last team in Complexity. Well, Complexity as of late, they're looking like a great team, and then they won the most cycles here in Honcast Season 4. But before this season, did we really know much about them? Really the season where they really started to explode. So, God, and after all of that, I then go back to Sync Esports and just think, you know what? This team won the most games. They were the most hyped. They're the players that they have all together and just their skill set and not only what they've done as far as performances, certainly maybe not winning those 2 big events, but what they've done as far as performances overall and just also for the community. The idea that they play for the fans, not that other teams don't, but they just have a really awesome respect for the game too. And so I think in the end I would have to vote for Sync Esports with all of those factors taken into consideration. That's why I say you kind of just go in a full circle really when it comes down to it. But all right, so enough about me, though. Let's take a look and see what you guys voted for. The community, that is. You guys ended up going with Sync. Sync did take it for you guys as well, 29 votes there. Evil Corporation, actually a pretty close second place, so interested to see that, honestly, from the community, but definitely getting some good love. And then Complexity and BMG also getting a decent amount of votes. By the community, that is. All right. So now for the official, again, the Honcast Awards victor here. So the team of the year for 2015, according to the Honcast Awards, was Sync Esports. Sync did take it in the end. You see right there, it was a little close. Complexity did get a little close, actually, but Sync takes it in the end, according to the votes here. And as we mentioned, also the community happened to vote for them as well, even. So Sync is the victor, but another case of could have been anyone, right?
Yep.
So, whew, there we go. There we go. Your reactions and final thoughts and all that, guys?
I think all the awards was well deserved, and there was a little bit, or there were some that were very hesitant or very close calls. Literally every single one of them just shows on a healthy competitive scene in that kind of sense that everyone is equally skilled. Seeing as we're having difficulties actually deciding on just one, as you said, if we would actually had like a top 3 instead, then it might have been a little bit easier to see, but. Yeah, overall, I think it worked out really well, and yeah, Sync Esports Team of the Year definitely well deserved, as well as Fuzzy, of course. Congratulations to him for winning the MVP of 2015. That's not a shabby award to gain whatsoever.
Put it on that resume.
Yeah, exactly. Write it on your CV.
You got this, man. No, it was an awesome to do this here in the end. Regards to that, before I get into all that, any other final thoughts from you on these awards here?
No, pretty good. Enjoyed it. It was pretty good. Congrats to Sync for winning Team of the Year, and congrats to Fuzzy Sloth for winning MVP. But I mean, otherwise, yeah, they were pretty good awards. I think there was only one that we were like, oh, really? I think that was the Boxy one.
Yeah.
But I mean, the rest were pretty good, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. It was fun.
For what it's worth, Team of the Year last year was Stay Green, but again, even that was actually pretty close in the end. It was Stay Green, but Sync and Bad Monkey Gaming were both very, very close to them in the end. But Stay Green was the last year's winner. Now this year's being Sync Esports, as just mentioned. So that is going to wrap it up for the awards portion here. Again, I want to thank you all for checking out that. We are going to stay on just a little bit longer here to kind of real quickly preview Cycle 8, which is starting tomorrow, sure enough. So obviously it kind of made sense to do that here. But again, guys, I do want to be clear before we finish up on the awards part that these, as always, are purely for entertainment, purely for fun, purely for recognition. In the end, nothing more than that. You're allowed to, if you want to make a forum post saying that we're wrong, you think this, absolutely, please do that. Voice your opinion. But know that we're not sitting here insisting that these are the victors and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, that's not the case. It's really just for fun in the end, and we had fun doing it. So hopefully the players and all the victors definitely appreciate their awards for what it's worth as well, of being called with the titles here. So all right, so let's move on though to the Cycle 8 here real quickly, and not spend too much time on this, but Cycle 8 starts tomorrow, and it's a pretty big deal, to say the least. We've been really stressing in the finishing up of the last cycle how what it really comes down to, pulling up the standings right here, is it's going to be between Sync Esports and Complexity. I mean, that's it. It's as far as the number 1 seed goes, which is the very important seed. Of course, it was announced recently as far as kind of a little bit of information, at least. The top seed gets automatic qualifying to the World Finals. Not really a big surprise there, but it's official now. And then 2 through 9 will play in the playoffs down the line here. So we'll start with the number 1. I mean, so Sync and Complexity, essentially with the math, there's no other way this could work out other than whoever finishes better gets the first seed. I mean, how cool is that, right? Like, we're going to our final cycle, and we got these two teams, two powerhouse juggernaut teams, and it really just comes down to whoever finishes better will be going to Thailand, and the other will have to play in the playoffs, which nothing is guaranteed. So, what do you think about that, Rogroste?
Oh, this is going to be an interesting one. I'm really excited. Like I said, once we find out when they actually play during groups, and to see how they actually play against groups, it's really exciting because I think you've said multiple times that this is going to be the first time where it's going to be 2 teams that are actually fighting to be that number 1 spot. So I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, this one, I think we failed to realize how much this would actually mean for the teams or the players themselves. Like, just take Complexity Gaming for starters. Like, ever since DreamHack Summer, they have been striving to improve. They have been working together towards one goal and one goal alone. That has been Thailand. And in the early cycles, like, they stomped their way through. They crushed their opponents. They were so close with strong combinations with Riptide, Prophet, and that aggressive playstyle that they brought in. They were so close. But then something happened. Sync Esports reformed. They made a new roster. They came back. They brought some of the most experienced players on the scene back. Players like Sibbe and Hackstrom, who's been there since season 1 and competed. And you just take Sibbe as well as an example. Like, I don't think he's yet to compete in Thailand, but he's been there. He's been standing toe to toe with all of the best players in Hoon's history. Like, even during season 1, when there was like versus Sai and Limp and all those, like, he was recognized as a threat for those players, and he still is to this day. So him, like, he was last year, for example, Hunter season 3. I mean, he stumbled on the goal line when he played with Fresh. They got beaten in the qualifier finals by BMG. Like, he was so close. Same was with Probus, for example. He was also one of those players. Yeah. But just now, like, Sibbe once more, like, when he's this damn close, I mean, I personally want him to move on because I feel like nobody else in the scene currently deserves it as much as him. Like, if he were to fail once more on the finish, like, they're on the freaking border of making it this time. He's been waiting so many years for this opportunity. It just means so much, not only for him, of course, but for everyone. So I just feel like it's going to be so damn intense. It's just going to be so much pressure. Like, none of these two teams wants to take this slippery road down to the qualifiers where they would have to face former world champions BMG and now the evil corporation that's got their DreamHack Summer roster once more with Own Me back on track. Like, that would just be so incredibly scary. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it as well. Sync Esports, like, now they got a new roster, but they still got the team name. And with the team name, it becomes a little bit of a burden. Like, they got a bit of a history of choking when it truly matters, and somewhere in the back of their heads, I feel like that's actually going to affect them at some level, at least. I hope it doesn't, because all of them really deserves to go there, but I just don't know. Like, I think that Complexity, if they were to lose Cycle 8, I still think that they could muster enough strength to actually make it. If Sync Esports were to lose Cycle 8, I just feel like there would be so much pressure from the community and everyone else, and it would just be eating them up alive.
That's true.
So it's going to be, yeah, it's with it, like, with everything included, like, it's just going to be insane. And I'm so looking forward to following this Cycle 8. It's going to be so freaking intense. Don't miss out on it.
That was great, Snowy. You really nailed it on the coffin there. Well played. Regroste, what's your follow-up to that?
Everything's Newey just said. It's just, I don't even need to say anything anymore. He just pretty much said it all. I mean,
yeah,
it's going to be a battle of the two juggernaut teams of the season, and it's going to be one hell of a finish.
It is. It's going to, and something that I don't know if really has been talked about too much, and I was kind of curious to see how people were going to react. I just don't know if it's like really like people like, I guess just it being out there that the World Finals are happening, that's going to be coming, but things got pushed back a little bit for those that may not have noticed from what it's been in previous years. What I mean by that, the playoffs as well as then the World Finals. The World Finals aren't going to be happening until June now, where in previous years they've happened in April actually. So there's going to be even a little bit more of a break than usual in between the end of our final cycle and then the World Finals eventually. And then, of course, like I said, the playoffs on top of that. So, as you're kind of pointing out, too, Znui, about these points that, especially a team like Sync, if they were not to get the number 1 seed, if they would have to then play in those playoffs, yeah, you talk about pressure, man. That no doubt would have to be affecting them. And then especially with the playoffs not being until May on top of that, with the season finishing up in February. So they would have to go through 2 months of, really, with that in the back of their minds. And sure, there is going to be content at the Deadeye Bounty League happening at the same time, but it's that's going to be some pressure for whichever of the two teams. But I definitely agree with you. Sync would definitely feel it a bit more than Complexity, no doubt. So you could argue that maybe Sync really needs to win, but I mean, obviously both teams need to win it in the end and want that number 1 seed to not have to at least have that in the back of their mind, waiting this time until those World Finals. So a big deal, absolutely. And then who knows what's going to happen in the playoffs, really. I mean, again, when we're talking about not only with a little bit of the break that we have, but then the 8 teams. Speaking of that, actually, so we're so caught up in these number 1 and 2 seeds for obvious reasons. But looking down the list, there's a team, LGT Gaming. They're kind of they've been fun to watch lately. They've been a strong team, kind of coming onto the scene, somewhat new. They're here in 12th place. Unfortunately, for them to get 9th place, they would have to essentially either get top 2, if not win Cycle 8.
Oh.
So,
yeah,
not an easy task by any means.
Nope.
But right now, Polymorph is in that 9th place spot. So now, to be fair, a lot of this, especially with the break, we've had it in the previous seasons too, where if a team happens to disband or whatever, then the next team in the line would step in. So perhaps that could work out in the end. But that's going to be interesting too, to kind of see those final teams there, and who ends up in the playoffs ultimately after this next cycle. So, whew, we got quite.
Yeah, Fresh and Bad Monkey Gaming as well. They're already set in their positions, aren't they? I think they are.
Mm-hmm.
So they are going to be facing off in the first round of 8 in that qualifier. That's not an easy task. That's not the kind of the team that you want in your first round.
Wait, what is going on? I'm looking at the standings right here, and it says Bad Monkey Gaming's in gold. Why? They're not in gold.
Did they drop down?
No, they beat Reason.
They won relegation.
Yeah, so that must just be a bug. I know that the schedule isn't up yet and everything, but it suggests that Sons of Zeus is still in. No, they're in Diamond, right? Did they stay in Diamond? Wait, who?
Now I'm confused.
Maybe
they got disqualified, or maybe they. I don't know.
No,
what did BMG
win?
Who won the relegation matches now? It was LGT and BMG, I thought. Anyway, so we'll get that figured out. But yeah, BMG, I'm pretty sure they're still in Diamond is the point.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think that's actually changed. That would be interesting. Anyways, all right. So I think that that pretty much takes care of that, though. Again, so if you're not hyped for the Cycle 8 coming up, then maybe competitive Han's not for you, because it is a big deal the big reason even to be hyped for this weekend, and especially this cycle. So I am looking forward to it, and hopefully you guys are as well at home. So I believe we are good to start wrapping up here officially, guys. So I want to give you guys a chance. Any shout-outs, any final words? For Gross Day, we'll start with you.
No, it's just a really good day. Really excited for this next cycle. And just shout out to Milifu, shout out to Complexity, shout out to Poopman, and shout out to you and Znui.
All right, Snooey.
Thank you. Well, shout out to Complexity Gaming and Sync Esports, 2 teams that both of them deserve this number 1 rank. Yeah, I can't stress how much it would actually mean for each and every one of them, the players that is. So I just hope that everyone brings 110% of their focus and their energy into tomorrow when the weekend kicks off. And this schedule is not up quite yet, but it's going to be really interesting to see who faces off with whom and when Sync Esports and Complexity were to clash, because now it's all about who makes it further, like Sync or Complexity. They don't necessarily need to win the cycle. I mean, we have to stress that as well. It's like if they actually were to somehow fail or get pushed back, like if they were to get into the loser brackets, they would have to go through teams like Evil Corporation and BMG and Fresh and all those other Diamond teams. So every single game is going to count this weekend. So just looking forward to it. And of course, thank you guys for having me, and Rag Roast for joining us as well.
Yeah, it was fun, guys. It was fun. I definitely apologize for this being a little bit delayed. I know there was a chance that we were going to do it earlier, even last week or something, but that kind of fell through. So, but it was cool that we were able to get around to making it happen here and officially announcing the winners. And hopefully, once again, you guys had fun with that. So that's the ultimate point, after all. Cycle 8. I mean, we've hyped it enough. It's starting tomorrow, guys. 12 p.m. Eastern, 1800 Central European Time. It's going to be a lot of fun here. Don't want to miss that. So once the schedule's up, I assume later today, you're also going to start seeing what the coverage is going to be like as far as who we're casting and whatnot. But these next 3 weekends, essentially, are going to be a pretty big deal here for Cycle number 8. So once again, thanks to Znui and Rick Roaster for joining me. Thank you guys for tuning in. I do plan to actually hop on my personal stream after this, play a little bit of Hana at least. So just kind of saying, doing some sellout mode here. I'd like to head over, keep hanging out. All right, so anyways, as far as this coverage goes, guys, we are going to be wrapping it up. So have a good night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow here on Honcast for the Cycle 8, beginning of the group stages. Again, it's going to be a blast. Don't want to miss that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. We'll see you next time here on Honcast.